All right. Good afternoon, or should say good evening, I should say. Gosh, good evening here on the East Coast. Good afternoon on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator, of course, of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And we do have a special additional episode tonight. We did have an episode that would have aired a couple of days ago. However, we rescheduled it. So give me one moment while I introduce our guests. Super excited. Give me a moment. All right. So without further ado, I want to welcome special guest Simon Merrells. What's going on, sir? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. It's great
Awesome.
to be here finally.
Again, reason why I wanted to have Simon on, for those of you who, unless you're living under a rock, you know that I am a huge fan of the show Spartacus and the run of that show on Stars. However, Simon has done a lot more than that outside of that in terms of his body of work. So I wanted to be able to touch on that as well. But first and foremost, Simon, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm in New Zealand at the moment, which is one of the places in the world that's dealt with the crisis that everyone's going through. Probably the best. So in that sense, I'm lucky. But I'm far from home, and so I've kind of been riding that out, like a lot of other people. But it's a beautiful place, and I'm good, and I'm looking forward to getting back home when I'm able to in a few months' time. Yeah. Can you hear that wind? You get all the seasons here in one day. It's fantastic. Yeah.
So with that being said, let's hop right into it, Simon. Can you
Sure.
tell me, in terms of hopping into this world of sword and sandals, so to speak, can you tell me how that came about and being a part of this series of Spartacus?
Well, I was in London. I was living in London, working in Britain mainly. I'd done a lot of theatre. I'd done a couple of horror films and some series, and then this audition came through for Spartacus for the part of Crassus, and I knew the story from the movie. I hadn't actually seen the series, but I got the scene for the audition, and it was the scene. There were a couple of scenes. I can't quite remember one of them, but the major scene was between Crassus and Spartacus just before the final battle. That scene between them, and I just thought it was so well written, and I loved it, and I loved the character, and I just felt plugged into it. So I did the audition, and it went really well. And I got a call saying, "You're one of the front runners. We want you to re-audition and just do what you did before." So I did, and I just felt I had this feeling that the role was mine. So I felt very positive about it. And then when I found out I got the role, I was over the moon. Yeah. So that's how I got the role. But I have to say that I'll always be grateful to them for casting me, because before I did the audition, the casting director said, "Simon, they've just asked, would you mind just standing topless just before you do the scene? I mean, you put your shirt back on for the scene, but if you just..." And I thought, yeah, okay. Not thinking anything of it, not having seen the show. And I'd actually never been to a gym in my life, really. I'd been jogging a few times. I wasn't really a fitness fanatic. So they cast me knowing that a lot of work had to be done. So I'll always be grateful for that. But as soon as I arrived in Auckland, we started boot camp the next day, and it was 4 hours every morning, 5 days a week, strict regime, strict diet. And in 2 weeks, I didn't recognize myself. It was extraordinary. I've got a lot of help. You have to do it yourself, but you get a lot of support and help. And by the time we started to shoot, my first scenes as Crassus were in episode 1 in my personal gymnasium with Hilaris. So they were my first scenes, and I just felt very ready, you know, after all that preparation, and just very excited. You know, it was a great experience to launch into that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, as a character that comes towards the end of the run of that show,
Yeah.
you talk also to, you know, being able to enter that family, so to speak, because it's already, you know, a
Yeah.
running train, a well-oiled machine at that point, and you
Yeah.
know, coming into that as the new cat on the block, so to speak. So can you talk
Well, you know,
about that and being able to
during
join that?
during my training, and after the boot camp ended, we continued training. Obviously, we had one of the main stuntmen, Tyrone Bell, who personally took care of me and Liam. So we used to do extra sessions, which we you know, after work, to keep up the fitness and the look for the show. But obviously, during all that time before I started shooting, I was watching all the previous seasons. So I saw what an incredible, bold, brave show it was, but also the excellent writing and drama and characters and story. You know, all of those things make it the show that's loved and still here now. Because if it was just about good-looking, fit people killing each other and having sex, it wouldn't have lasted. It had to have the story, the character, and the excellent actors they had in it. So I was watching the seasons and thinking, Christ, this is a great thing to be a part of, and I want to carry the torch forward, and I don't want to drop it. I don't want to drop this ball. I want to make the last season contribute towards making the last season a great, powerful, you know, finish for this excellent series. So I did feel a responsibility, but I felt positive about it because I was surrounded by such good people. I had Todd as Caesar and Christian playing my son, and Jenna playing Corey. You know, so I just had faith in the writing. I loved the character. I loved playing this man who always knew more than anyone else in the room. You know, he was always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And things would happen behind his eyes that only he knew about, and the audience maybe knew, but the other characters didn't know. And it's wonderful to play that, because you can be very subtle and do lots of different fun things with a character like that. So I loved playing him. So I was very aware of all the good work that had gone before, and I wanted to, you know, do my part to carry that forward. So yeah, I was very proud to be a part of it.
Awesome. And to speak further to that, your character, I feel the thing that was so fascinating is, yeah, there was that headbutting, that conflict with Spartacus, but I feel also with that character, unlike many of the other antagonists it came across or encountered on that show, he respected Spartacus. It seemed like a great deal, and had a great on some level had a great deal of admiration of what he was capable of and what he was able to accomplish. So can you talk to that too, and trying to find that balance of having that kind of reverence for your rival, so to speak, but still wanting, you know, intensely to be able to take him down or take him out?
Well, that was the stroke of genius of Stephen DeKnight, the creator and the writers, to if they'd have just introduced another Roman antagonist who was a deliciously evil guy, a bad guy, you know, that had been done already with Glaber and the others fantastically.
Very well.
That had already been done. And, you know, those guys were great. He was great.
Very well, because I love that character too. That character was cool. But yeah,
so well done. But a character who was cruel and enjoyed enjoyed, relished in his own, you know, badness for the sake of it. But to do that again would have been a bit of a repetition. So they wrote this character, you know, based on a real life character, but they wrote this man to have this empathy and respect. And he could be brutal. Crassus did brutal things in reality and in the show. I mean, he did reintroduce decimation, which shocked the rest of the Roman military order, because even they were shocked because it hadn't been used for hundreds of years. So he could be brutal, he could be ruthless, but it was always to a practical end. It wasn't for the enjoyment of cruelty. So, and as far as his empathy with Spartacus goes in our show, that was just brilliant, because in episode 1, they introduced the new Roman villain. Everyone wants to hate him, right? We're going to hate this guy. But then there's this side to him which you can't help but admire. You can't help but like, because he castigates his own son and says to his son, you think you're better than somebody because you're rich? Because you were born to wealth? No, this man has defeated 9 legions. So we'll respect him, and I will respect him, and I will beat him on his own ground, but I respect my enemy. So, you know, they introduced me in that way, which set up a conflict in the audience. I mean, to this day, people write and go, damn you, I hated you, but I liked you as well. You know, and that's great to hear. It's great to hear that, because it means the writers and I did my job, you know. But every episode was a pleasure. When we used to get the episodes for the read through, we were just so like excited to see. I mean, we knew where the story was going ultimately, but you know, to get the episodes and see what we were given to play on the next episode was fantastic. We were all so excited.
Definitely, and in terms of what you did over the course of that season with your character, would you say, were there any parts of it where, you know, just like you say, you were reading the script and you're like, whoa, like how am I going to pull this off? But you know, as looking back on it, you know, you are no one would know in watching the show that was something that like really intimidated you in terms of being able to pull off with that, whether it's you know psychologically or even physically, in terms of how physically demanding the role was.
Well, the physical demands, like I say, I got in the physical shape of my life very quickly. So that was an extraordinary journey and challenge. The fight choreography, I'd never really done anything that intense. The fight with Spartacus at the end was pretty grueling, but we worked on it a lot, and we were prepared, and that took about 2 days, I think, a day and a half to shoot that whole sequence. And it's grueling, but you feel ready for it, you know. The horse riding, I learned to ride a horse, which was beautiful, and that's carried me through onto other jobs as well, where you have that little bit of knowledge. You have to relearn, but it's there in your body, you know.
Muscle memory,
yeah, muscle memory, yeah. So the physical aspect was challenging, but it changed my life in as much as I carried that forward into my life and into other jobs as well. So, you know, it kind of changed me physically and mentally, I would say, Spartacus, for the better. There were some scenes where I remember dramatically, you always want to give the best essence that you can. And have I worked this in the best way that I could? Have I finessed it? And sometimes I'd be unhappy, and the director would go, no, it's going to be fun. And then you see it, and you're pleasantly surprised, because of course there's a lot of people working as well. The editing, you know, the way a scene is cut, which takes they use, when they go to a certain look. You know, it all, that's, you just provide the material. You know, this scene in Carnifekina when they're slaughtering the prisoners for the entertainment of the troops. That was crazy days, because we were all sitting on the podium watching it happen. But of course, it's not all happening when they're shooting us doing the scene. It's an empty place with the director jumping up and down going,
right.
Like, so
right.
so that we can react to someone's head being crushed in, and that was strange. We didn't, I remember being on the balcony and I'm talking to Metellus and others, and I because it wasn't really happening in front of us, it felt kind of disjointed when we were shooting it. And I wondered if we had the right spirit, that it sold the fact that we were in this situation. But I watch it and it's totally believable, you know. So you learn that sometimes you just have to trust. You just have to trust the situation. Don't worry about everything. Just worry about your own thing, and then afterwards it'll probably be all right. So and the scene actually that I auditioned for, as I told you, the Spartacus and Crassus meeting that happened before the final battle. When we actually came to shoot that, Liam and I said, "How you doing, man?" He went, "Yeah." He said, "I'm a bit nervous." I said, "Yeah, I am as well," because it's the scene that we'd both auditioned with, and we'd waited the whole season
to do this one scene,
to get to this beautiful scene, this lovely scene that we have. And so we did a take, and Rick Jacobson, who was directing, he was going, "Great, guys, great. And we were going, no, we want to do it again." He's going, "Really?" Go, yeah. And I said, "Liam, you feel the same?" Yeah, I feel the same, yeah. Because in our heads, we just wanted to, you know, we wanted to do a few takes to get to the real meat of it. And I think we did. You know, and all the revelations when he lets drop like a bomb that it was a woman who killed my son. And I have to not let him know that I didn't know that. You know, there's lovely moments that we're given, you know, to play. So yeah, there were times when I felt challenged, but when I finally watched the series, I didn't watch it for a year and a half afterwards. I don't like to watch my own work usually, which is strange to say, I know, but some actors are like that. And I was doing a film. In Bulgaria, and my co-star actress, fantastic actress, Anna Ularu, she said, "Why don't we come back after filming each day and we'll watch an episode of Spartacus?" I went, "Yeah, okay." So that's how I finally saw the show. And I was really proud. Because it was a year and a half after we'd finished. So it was enough time to have a bit of distance from it and to almost watch it as a viewer, rather than I'm watching
criticizing each of your performance choices. So yeah,
there was enough distance for me to sit back and enjoy it as a viewer. And I, you know, inevitably there are moments where you go, I should have done something else, or I could have done better. But on the whole, I'm really proud of it. You know, I'll always be thankful for it.
Absolutely. And, you know, just as you were mentioning before, you were talking about historical figures. You know, I've noticed with other projects that you've been a part of, that has been a component of it. Knightfall comes to mind, and many others. So what would you say it is specifically that draws you to looking into a particular project? Because it seems like, you know, that historical component is definitely something that you have gravitated towards.
This always makes me laugh. This question to actors. And what drew you to the role? What drew me to the role was that I was offered the role. I auditioned for the role. I mean, the only choice you have is what you audition for. If you
Sure.
really are not interested in something, then don't audition for it. Don't go for it. Or if you're offered something and you're not interested. But most of the time, you do these jobs because you want to work and you love to work, and you audition, and sometimes you get the role. I've been lucky, you know. If I was put in a niche, then it's a happy niche for me, because it's such a rich vein in drama, historical drama. And you know, Knightfall, excuse me, although it was you know, fairly mythologized our series, there was enough fact in there to get your teeth into, and researching the Templars, who I didn't really know that much about. I knew who they were, but I didn't know the nitty-gritty, the details of their incredible rise and then their shocking fall. And it's an incredible story, and they were extraordinary figures, really. These Western monk knights. The only equivalent would have been, I suppose, in the East, the Shaolin, you know, something like that. Because in Christendom, it was an impossible concept that you were either a priest, you were either a man of the church, or you were a soldier, a knight. You couldn't be both, because they cancelled each other out, supposedly. But you know, the Militars Christi, the Knights of Christ, the Soldiers of Christ, they changed all that. There were other orders, obviously, Teutonic Knights and Maltese, you know, there were a lot of other orders, the Hospitallers, but the Templars are the ones with the mystery and the cachet and this kind of glamour that still reverberates down through the centuries. So it's an aspect of the job that I love. I love to research stuff, even if it's not in the show. I just, you know, with Crassus, I was so lucky because we have Plutarch, the historian who wrote the lives of the great Romans, and compared the comparison lives. And Crassus is one of the lives, because he was a major figure in the late Republic. And I thought I was going to read some stodgy text, some dry list of achievement. But no, this read like a thriller. I mean, and the life of Caesar, it's incredible when you read these lives. And Crassus was certainly extraordinary. You know, what he didn't have in talent, he worked and worked and worked at until he got it. He wasn't an orator. You know, Cato, there were many other more famous orators, and it was important in Rome to be a good speaker, you know, to get your point across, to change policy, to, you know, to sway the Senate. He wasn't a good speaker, but he trained himself until he was on a level with the greatest speakers, just through sheer will. So reading about those things about the man and seeing busts of his face, you know, all of those things like went into my head when I was, you know, creating the character. You know, this man who just, his will carried him through. It wasn't that he was the best at everything, but his will carried him through to an objective. So that, I think that was the key for me in that role. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. So with all that being said, as I said, you know, talking about the body of work with those projects and many more, even on stage, can you talk to, you know, what's happening currently and what you are, you know, in the process of working on now, what's gestating?
I can't quite say what I'm. I can't quite say what I'm working on now, but
Okay.
you know, it's a very exciting project that I'm a small part of, and it's very exciting, and it's a beautiful part of the world to be doing it in. And you know, we were all frozen here, like everywhere else. Everywhere, everything stopped. in March. You know, it's a long time ago, and but everything's rolling again now. So yeah, production and the project is picked up, and we're moving forward, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's going to be extraordinary. But I can't really. I've got there are probably cameras in here somewhere, and listening bugs. No, I can't really talk about it yet, but everything will become evident in a while.
I'm wondering where that sound is coming from.
This sound, can you hear this sound?
Yes, this whistling sound that keeps reverberating.
That is the wind. This is outside. It's bright sunshine.
I wonder.
This is called the land of the long white cloud. Because the cloud formations here are incredible. But you can have a storm, a lashing storm, and then it's gone. And you have bright sunshine, and then you'll have a gale, like there is whistling wind outside. So you can have all the seasons in one day. It's crazy. I never know what to wear.
Definitely. Well, Simon, thanks so much, man. I really do appreciate you hopping on and talking Spartacus. Before I let you go, can you tell folks where they can find you?
I beg your pardon?
I was saying, before I let you go, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Where they can find me?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Media.
Oh, social media. That's what you mean. Yes. No, I'm really clued into that, as you can tell. Yes. Yeah. You can find me here. You can find me on Instagram. And I have not prepared for this question whatsoever. I don't even know my own handle. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I had a bad experience with Facebook. And, you know, I've left that platform. I don't trust them. And I know Instagram is still, you know, Facebook run, but I find it a bit more innocent. I like to post pictures and to talk about projects and stuff. And it's very simple. So I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well, at @Merrells, I think.
Yep,
yeah.
There, we got it.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
All right, cool. Well, again, like I said, thank you so much. Also want to thank Offstage, Barry. I really appreciate you helping out, sir. I don't know if you're around.
He's in the kitchen.
So I want to thank him as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Those of you out there, I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. As you can see, you can watch it here on Facebook, which you're watching live now, actually. But you can also find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD, on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited. And of course, me, Brandon Choi ENT on Twitter, and Brandon Choi _ENT on Instagram. There you guys have it. Thanks so much for watching. Be safe out there, guys, and see you soon. Bye.
Ciao. Thank you.